please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at the protesting at UCLA, and there's a reason for it. It's not really my typical content, I know, and I'm sure the subject matter is quite divisive, but I do think there are some wider points that need to be addressed here. So whereas I have made it a concerted point to cover things that could be regarded more YouTube drama related or drama as a whole, this one's different, but I really do feel like I have to say something. At the University of California in Los Angeles, or UCLA, there have been pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian groups clashing. There are two very clear distinctions between those groups. Those that are pro-Israel are not covering their faces. Those that are pro-Palestine are covering their faces. This, on the face of it, might seem inconsequential. Perhaps some are adhering to post-COVID self-imposed rules. Reality is, it's a lack of willingness to adhere to your convictions. It allows and affords you the opportunity to use more volatile tactics to drive your point, your message, home. These protests have been nationwide in the United States. That is what the BBC here have called it. Yes, of course, defund the BBC. The reality is actually it's the more metropolitan areas that are heavily more blue than they are red. The White House says that these must remain peaceful. Define peaceful, because I feel that a lot of these protests, especially in this particular ballpark, end up just pointing towards those that are Jewish and saying because of your Jewishness, you are bad, like Napster and Brussels sprouts. There's an obvious joke in here somewhere. Don't make it. Just don't. It's crass and will get me into trouble. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby told ABC the US government respects the right of protesters demonstrating over the Israel-Gaza war, but he condemned anti-Semitic incidents that have been reported, as well as all the hate speech and threats of violence out there. The US has wholeheartedly thrown its weight behind helping Israel. I believe that's what Biden has been seen to do during the run-up to the election. He'll want to do that for the sake of optics on a national level, because it's one of the very few times he actually cares about the national level. That's not to say his opponent is any better, don't try it. That is a deflection, distraction, and unnecessary in this topic. At UCLA, a pro-Palestinian encampment has grown in size in recent days, as has a group of pro-Israeli counter-protesters. I want to draw a distinction between a few things. Firstly, many of those that are claiming to be pro-Palestinian are not in fact pro-Palestinian, they're pro-Hamas. Hamas are the problem. The tactics used to deal with Hamas, of course, I cannot condone. I don't care for violence at all, but I know that that belief is not shared in other areas of this world who do not adhere to the more westernized interpretation of handling these kind of volatile situations. Because of that, there is a massive cultural gap between what we in the West would want to do and what those who are not in the West would consider doing and are willing to do. This has led to other nations in that region getting involved, making the mess even bigger. I know there's a lot of information out there explaining why, for example, Iran got involved. I'll be honest, I'm not surprised Iran got involved. They seldom require an excuse to launch something in the direction of Israel. So with the growth of this pro-Palestinian encampment, it has caused problems with those who are pro-Israeli, more so those who are Jewish. Videos have been doing their rounds on Twitter, showing quite clearly the effects of this situation on them and their ability to gain access to what they are there for in the first place: education. Now, my view is, you can protest all you like, but people are paying to attend that facility, that campus, to learn. If they do not want to get involved in your protesting, you need to let them through. Inhibiting their ability to gain access to education only harms them. It does not harm anyone else. The college is hardly going to lose out because they're still making money from this. So my view will remain the same, that you must let those people through. If then the university decides to put barriers up, making it even harder, refusing to help those students who want to get in, who are Jewish coincidentally, so that they can go to their lessons, then the college is failing. But then the college aren't the only problem here. The security as well, who refuse to get involved to help those students get from point A to point B, favouring instead a right to protest over the rights of the individuals who don't want to be involved or want to simply get to their lessons. My view with protesters are, much like with Just Stop Oil stopping emergency services, no, you let them through. Now I know emergency service is not the same as those wanting to go to lessons. Those that do not wish to get involved should not be involved. But then the inconvenience aspect is a vitally important part of the protest, because the more people you inconvenience, the greater the chance you can expand your numbers, or garner more attention and in turn be hated for it. That latter one is quite common, especially with the likes of Just Stop Oil, and in this case, the pro-Palestinian encampment. Over on the platform of X, I want to show you some of the videos that have been doing their rounds that show why there's this massive divide.
You and I, we all know the reason why you have masks. It's because you don't want us to identify you. Thank you. I appreciate you for that. Who else would do with that? Stand with what you believe in. I respect your belief. I do. But if you do that, I'm going to show your face. Stand with what you believe in. I appreciate that. Stand with what you believe in. You're not in masks because we stand with what we believe in. We want you to see what they are. Because we're doing it. Concealing your face with points.
While I fully support one's freedom to protest, I do find it somewhat baffling that some will go so far as to wear masks at all opportunities like Antifa have done in the past, to hide who they really are, because they don't have the conviction to stand by what they believe, because they know that there is enough blowback to genuinely destroy them, while they seek to simultaneously and unironically harm others. Now in this instance, that's not the case. They're just preventing some from getting to lessons and are clearly just peacefully protesting. That's fine. Unlike other protests in the past where we've seen a deterioration in communication leading to physical altercations, this can be argued to be a more peaceful encounter. So let's go to the next video that I saw doing its rounds, one that does raise a number of questions.
Time to go. What? You don't have a wristband.
Why do I need a wristband?
It's time to go.
I can stand here if I want. I'm not moving. Okay, they're now cornering me.
In this instance, protesters are blocking access to the school library, demanding wristbands and approval to each student passing. You are preventing other students from getting access to the facilities so they can study and learn because your beliefs trump their future. To me, that is unacceptable. Some people don't want to be involved in this and just want to go about their education, their way, their learning, their life. They shouldn't have to kowtow to you because of some secret password and a wristband and a handshake perhaps. There's more though, and of course, context is vital here.
I'm not moving. Say whatever you want.
For those who are curious, in the background you may have heard, God is great, of course. This is the same college that forced first-year students to attend a structural racism course, and, well, the speaker, pro-Hamas speaker, told them to kneel for prayer, a call to prayer as it were. And these, by the way, are mandatory for freshmen. These kind of classes are not okay. I believe I called this out in a video, it might have been the exhibition of stupid people. Just some additional context for the clip you've already seen bits of so far. Parents who called to complain about the wristbands and access restrictions were told to tell their Jewish kids to find another way into the building and that the police cannot help, and that the protesters have taken over that area of the school. To clarify further, they went on to explain to parents they were not intervening with kids being blocked off from entrances to classes and buildings by protesters, so the school confirmed it is allowing protesters to block entrances and areas, but students can request police help, only if they are physically getting attacked or need help for an injury. I do not care, again, for inhibiting a student's ability to attend classes or learn. You are actively harming their ability to improve their chances at a better future because of your own skewed interpretation of the situation. And it is that, skewed. It is biased. There have also been other protests where you've found that those attending the protests don't even know why they're there.
What would you say is the main goal with tonight's protest?
I think the goal is just showing our support for Palestine and demanding that NYU stops. I honestly don't know all of what NYU's doing.
Is there something that NYU's doing?
I really don't know. I'm pretty sure they're... Do you know what NYU's doing? About what? About Israel. Why are we protesting here?
Palestine will be free!
I wish I was more educated. I'm not either.
No. I mean no harm. I'm just standing here. Just showing you guys how pointless your blockade is. I got in through the other entrance and now I'm standing here. You guys want to prevent Jewish students from entering? Fine. Yeah, of course I'm Zionist. Okay, so you don't let Zionists in the library that I pay tuition?
If you go to another college, you go to Columbia, you have a protest leader who was banned from the campus for saying Zionists don't deserve to live. There are some who are willing to push and go a bit too far and are suffering consequences for it. Of course, at the same time, you have the college having very little in the way of choice when the optics are not on their side. In this case, at UCLA, they're in a region of America where they can get away with all bad optics in this and still look good at the same time.
It is 1:30 on Monday. I am at UCLA. I want to show the apartheid that's going on here today at UCLA. They're not letting Jewish students access Royce Hall. None of this is accessible to Jewish students, to parents. I had to go all the way around. This is Royce Hall, which is not accessible. This is the library, which you cannot get access.
Those barricades are a fascinating demonstration in the university, also kowtowing to an extent because they put them there. It is a strange thing to see a college so willingly enable, because they know they cannot control the perspectives, the opinions, the voices, which is understandable. Freedom of speech is vital, but they cannot control that. They can enable it when it suits them, because they have no real definitive power in handling that, because it's the kind of protest they're okay with. It should be pointed out, this kind of protest hasn't only affected the US, it's also happening in the UK. For example, the police are being blamed for this. The police have tried to deny that they're involved in this. However, they're kind of involved because they're the ones that put it on. And I love that they're so cowardly behind their message that they had to turn replies off, but they did hide one because they authorized the marches, apparently. I don't believe that to be entirely true, but I do find it funny they hid it. I will stand by my beliefs when it comes to students gaining access to education. They are paying to be there after all, and instead of seeking to only offer help when they are harmed, the university should offer means of helping those who are being inconvenienced for a whole slew of differing reasons. Those means should include making sure they can gain access to the campus, rather than offering a weak tea reason or excuse or solution, because the reality is they're placing the onus on the people who disagree rather than them, because they're the services being deprived by those who are paying customers. That might be a unpopular take, but I do firmly believe in academic freedom. I also believe in protest, so this is where there is a bit of a grey area. It's a strange one, but as it has become apparent, many do not even understand why they're protesting in the first place, and others are simply doing it because they just do not like Israel. The area of grey becomes itself more toxic, exhaustingly so, I might add.